Welcome back to the Living in St. George, Utah channel. Now, if there is one video that you need to watch if you are thinking about moving out here to St. George, Utah, it is this video because we are going to go over everything that you need to know. We're going to go over what exactly is St. George, what are the different neighborhoods like, what is it like to live here, what does it look like if you're not here, how are you going to find out, what is it really like, what are the different neighborhoods like, what's the cost of living, what is the healthcare like, what is the crime and safety like, what are the schools like. We're going to talk about all of these really important things that you need to know if you are going to move out here to St. George, Utah. And don't forget to watch the whole video because if you don't have all the information you need, you could make the mistake of moving to the wrong place and you want to avoid that pain and anguish. So let's get started. So here we are in St. George, Utah. We're just going to give you a brief overview of the map. If you want an even more extensive video of all of the St. George region with an extensive map video, definitely subscribe to our channel because we have plenty of those videos on our channel right now. So
and
Sean,
as Courtney knows, I'm very brief. I'm a man of very few words.
No, Sean likes to talk, so we're just going to be brief. But if you want something more extensive, we definitely have much more extensive on our channel. But that's not really what this video is about.
So here we are. We're on the map. This is St. George area right here. And basically, like if you're looking at it, like if we're panning back, we are at the very southwestern corner of Utah. Really, there's no city between St. George and the very edge, like the very corner. So like, you know, like right here is like Arizona, of course. So if we bring out some like drawing tools, we can kind of get a sense of where we're at. So basically you're right on the edge here of the Nevada, Arizona, like kind of this little corner right here. And you're only about 2 hours total away. Less than 2 hours away from Las Vegas.
Hour 45.
Yeah, so you're really close to Las Vegas. And honestly, this was really important for us when we moved here because as much as we love the feel of St. George, it's just nice to have a big city not too far away. It just kind of fills in all the little like gaps that St. George, given the smaller population, would have, basically. So before we continue, I'm Sean Dezad.
And I'm Courtney Dezad, and we are licensed real estate agents here in the state of Utah.
And if you're watching this channel, you might be thinking, wow, Sean, I love St. George. I love the red rocks. I love the energy. I can't wait to move out here. Now, the problem is that I'm not local and maybe even out of state, so I don't know what to do. And I totally get that. That's why you reach out to us because me and my team, we have years and years of experience here where we can be on the your boots on the ground, really helping you find that perfect property. So what you want to do is you want to give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, remember, don't forget to call or text that number because it is a cell phone. And do remember that our team has over 40 years of experience here, so don't forget to call us or text us. Yeah, like we like to say, St. George on a day-to-day basis gives you have everything you need for your day-to-day life. It's just maybe sometimes, maybe you want to go to a really nice restaurant or you want to enjoy a really nice show or you need to go on an international flight. Like these are things that Las Vegas can pick up.
Or sports.
Or sports, yeah. Like Las Vegas has great sports. Yeah,
it's like Las Vegas is known for shopping, dining, and entertainment. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. So basically, what's nice is that it's only 2 hours away. So again, we always talk
more like hour 45.
Yeah, less than 2 hours.
Less than 2 hours.
And then if you're really like feeling adventurous and going on a road trip, the Los Angeles area is only, about like 6 hours or so by, like away. So it's super close and it's a straight shot. The 15 freeway gets you there.
Well, and people actually do like to go on vacation down to San Diego because it's straight shot down the 15 freeway. That's true. Very popular to just, spend 3 or 4 days in San Diego, come back.
Yeah, and also, and this drive is actually rather pleasant. This is actually like not the worst drive in the world. Mm-hmm. I will say that going north is not as pleasant.
Meaning the scenery is pretty desolate.
Yeah.
Not that it's not desolate when you go to Las Vegas, but yeah.
I think Baker's really like a nice, happening, bustling area. Beautiful.
No, but so you can get to St. George to Salt Lake City in 4 hours. It actually goes by faster than you'd think.
Yeah. But it actually, I will say, the drive from St. George to Cedar City is rather beautiful.
It is.
It's just beyond Cedar City. It's just not as picturesque.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. So that's St. George in a nutshell. And we kind of call it like that little Goldilocks zone because there's a lot of nothing east of St. George kind of going on. So it's nice where you're, if you're looking to find a location, it's just nice that it's relatively close by a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And then do you want to just briefly go over just maybe some of the different neighborhoods of St. George and then the different cities around St. George?
Sure. So so basically, and St. George is located within Washington County. So this is this is that county where about 200,000 population roughly, right? So that's kind of what you have in Washington County here. So St. George itself, should we go into other cities or are we going to St. George itself?
Well, just maybe briefly give some of the
other cities.
Yeah, the other cities, maybe some of the bigger neighborhoods of St. George. And then, again, we have plenty of map videos that go much, much more extensively into the different neighborhoods.
Yeah, so Santa Clara is like, okay, let's say if we're going like kind of around St. George here, right? So Santa Clara, really cool feel, very different vibe than St. George itself, right? It's just got 7,500 people there, so it's not a very populated area. St. George, like, is about 90,000, give or take. And then, depending on, because there's a lot of new construction kind of going on in the area. And then Santa Clara, though, has this, it's very eclectic. It's very just kind of, just more historic in my opinion. It just has an old town feel to it, and it's just beautiful. And you have like the Santa Clara River that runs by it, so it's just really nice. And then if you go a little bit further north, then you have Ivins. Ivins is pretty awesome. I mean, if you're into golfing, it's amazing. You have the Black Desert Resort, which is just opening up, so it's not even fully opened up yet. Just amazing, because you have the lava rocks with the green grass, with the red rock, with sometimes if it's in the winter, you have like the little dusting of snow up top, like, higher up. So you have all these colors. It's just an absolutely beautiful view. And, Ivins is just like, and it has a Tuacahn Theater. So it's just like this natural amphitheater where the rock formations form. And it's just like an amazing, breathtaking background. And then we always kind of joke about Entrada, which is really nice. It's a gated community, as well as Kayenta, which isn't gated, but just offers these breathtaking views. And then as we're going around, basically what you're looking at here next to St. George is Washington. Washington is, like, as these other cities are kind of have a different vibe, Washington really doesn't. It actually is more of an extension of St. George. They're just very like related. Like you wouldn't necessarily know. Like, I'm sure some people will say that we're totally off our game here, but to us, like, observing it, they have a lot, like, one bleeds into the other.
Yeah, for sure. And they're definitely the most densely populated of the two cities. Most people live in either St. George or Washington.
Yeah, and then the bit next, and then Hurricane's right there as far as like population, but it's a bigger city.
Yeah, it's much bigger, and it's spread apart. Yeah, so as you get off onto State Street, you want to point where that is.
So this is.
Yeah, there's a lot of open space in between there, so Hurricane definitely feels much more set apart. Even though in reality, it's like not as far as you'd think.
30-ish minutes, 35 minutes,
depending on where you're going. It's really not that far at all. But Hurricane, you definitely can, it's self-contained. They have their own shopping and dining. You don't have to leave every day necessarily. It's not like a tiny little town in that respect. But it is much closer to Zion as well. So. Yeah,
and also it has, like, it's kind of known for having, like, Sand Hollow State Park, which is this reservoir, as well as Quail Creek are right here. So a lot of outdoor activities are, like, right at your disposal, right in Hurricane.
Yeah, for sure. You see, I think I'm exaggerating, but it does seem that every house has at least a 3-car garage and an RV garage, or like a double RV garage, because it just goes to show that people like their toys, and people come out to Utah because they love to be outside, right? So Hurricane just sort of like exemplifies that. People want to be outside, they want their toys to be outside.
And as far as proximity goes, we kind of joke about, like, a lot of these other areas that we're talking about, we always joke about everything's like 15 minutes away from each other.
Yeah.
Hurricane's a little bit further out. We're kind of more like 30 minutes-ish, in that range. So it's a little bit further out there. Again, depending on where you're coming from, 30 minutes is nothing, but just so you know, like, that's just kind of the lay of the land.
Yeah, in Hurricane, some people definitely prefer it because they like that idea of, like, being far out. Like, Sean's best friend owns some property in Hurricane because he doesn't want to be in St. George. He wants to be out. He wants to be out in Hurricane and Virgin. Like, that's what he wants. So.
Yeah, and speaking of, so there's a lot of other small cities. I don't necessarily want to get too in the weeds here because there's tons of cities like that, very small cities, I should say, that are like on the way to Zion, basically.
Yeah.
And on the way to Cedar City also as well. We're not going to get into all those. We're just kind of talking about these areas that are the more populated zones in the St. George region.
Yeah.
And so having said that, now, like, we kind of got the perimeter of St. George. Now let's going into St. George itself. This is where you have a lot of, again, just different neighborhoods, different vibes altogether, even within St. George, and also different levels of construction. So some stuff's already been pretty settled and pretty mature. Other stuff is actually, like, being built as we speak.
Yeah, so this is just a very brief overview. We're not going to go over everything, but you want to talk about, like, the Desert Canyons area.
Yeah.
So that's, like, the area that's close to the Arizona border.
So as you're driving up the 15 freeway, like going northbound, the first exit you can do is basically on Southern Parkway, and then so to like if you turn left, basically you have Sun River, and this is a 55 and older community, a combination of existing single-family residences as well as new construction that's going on there. And so and they also have a golf course as well. But if you go to the right, basically now you have a ton of new construction going on. This will take you like to the St. George Regional Airport, but you have just a ton of new construction going on here, and one of them being Desert Color. And then so Desert Color is going to be about 40,000, I think, population, and when everything's said, no, it's just going to be just massive new construction. And then as you go further down, Desert Canyons is another new construction area that's happening. Again, there's tons of stuff happening over here.
Yeah, although I will say that some people, they don't like Desert Canyons just because it does seem sort of like set off. I'm sure like as the years go by, it'll be more and more, just seamlessly part of St. George, but at least as it stands right now, it does seem kind of like far away.
Yeah, and it is amazing because you see these outcroppings of like new construction, and there's like a lot of land in between them. Mm-hmm. But at some point over time, it's very likely they're going to be like joined, which is kind of crazy because like it's pretty sparsely populated areas.
Yeah.
And I guess we could kind of use this opportunity to talk about River Road because it's like right here. So River Road is basically, I would say, the main shopping corridor. Like it kind of just goes. So it's the main shopping corridor. So it starts again right here on Southern Parkway and just goes up, and then you start to hit. Like it's really, you start to get the commercial commerce activity happening as you hit the airport. As you hit the hospital here, because this is one of the best hospitals in all of Utah. So this is not just a local thing, basically. And then as you go further down, it becomes Telegraph Road, and then it becomes like Red Cliff. So it's just this major shopping corridor. You have a Costco that's right next to it, Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, all your big box stores, Best Buy, like these are all along this thing. So we always talk about how St. George seems to punch above its weight class when it comes to shopping, because you really do have a ton given the smaller population here.
And then just briefly, just maybe some of the neighborhoods that you've heard of. You got Bloomington Hills right here. Bloomington, these are, definitely older neighborhoods, meaning like not new construction. And then like around here, you have downtown. There's a lot of, restaurants and bars, and Utah Tech is down there. So definitely like a vibrant little downtown. And then again, we're just being very brief. We're definitely...
Because we have, if you want more on this, we have tons of videos on this.
And then the ledges up here, this definitely, again, it feels a little bit farther away, but it is slightly higher in elevation. So when it's really, really hot, it actually is slightly cooler up
about
here.
5 degrees, give or take. Because it is like, so St. George is about 2,500 feet of elevation. For instance, the ledges is more like 3,800 roughly.
Yeah. And if you're interested, what do all these different areas look like? So if you actually go to our channel, so here you can see...
Shameless plug.
You can see our channel, and you can see Sue and Dustin there, part of our team. But you can go to our full vlog tours. And here we've got, so this is a really, really long video. It's an hour, but then we break it up as well. So you can actually see us going to all these different places in our car. You can see what all these different neighborhoods look like if you're interested. Now, you may have heard about living in St. George because you've heard that Utah, it recently got named the best state to live in the United States, although I guess it's not recent anymore. I always forget, But this year it was number 1. I think last year it was number 3. So that may be why, you are thinking about moving out here, because you learned what an awesome place Utah is. And St. George itself, obviously it's no secret. You can check on many, many different lists. It's often ranked as one of the best places to retire, not only in the United States, but also in Utah. So if you actually look at, Ivins, we were talking about that little city just slightly north of here, St. George. So Ivins by niche.com is ranked as the best place to retire in Utah. St. George number 3, and then Santa Clara, I feel like
number 8?
Yeah, Santa Clara number 7.
Moved up. Go Santa Clara.
Yeah, so, and it there's lots of different reasons. They use different criteria as to why, these places are great places to retire. And one of them is healthcare. So if you ask, U.S. News and World Report, the same one that showed that Utah was the best state to live in the United States. So healthcare, Utah is very high up in healthcare, number 7 state, and that's according to U.S. News and World Report. And then Wallet Hub, actually ranked Utah as number 5 best state for healthcare. And, we're not just talking about Salt Lake City here. As Sean had mentioned before, the best hospitals in Utah. So even though we're in a small area in terms of how many people live here, the St. George Regional Hospital, so that's our hospital here, it ranks number 3 in all of Utah. So good healthcare is definitely something that we have in spades here in Utah, if that is something that is interesting to you. And then I also wanted to show, so if you're thinking about retiring here in St. George, Utah, you may have heard of something that's called like a blue zone. These are the places in the world where there is an inordinate amount of people who live to the age of 100.
And Netflix has a special on that one.
Yeah, we're the age of 100. And then also they don't have as many of the typical diseases that people in the United States get, like heart disease, all of the things that we tend to hear about.
No one dies here.
Let's see. And then one thing I actually noticed, so I was just reading this website about the blue zones, and one striking observation is that the blue zones are found reasonably close to the equator, meaning warmer weather and year-round access to sun. So I know, some of the blue zones are like Okinawa, Japan, I believe Loma Linda in California.
Greece.
Yeah, there's an area of Greece. So these are all warm regions because, as we all know, the sun is nice. And it's nice to not be freezing cold in the winter. This is another reason why people move to St. George, because unlike most of Utah, it pretty much is the only place in Utah that has mild winter. So
yes, exactly. It's year-round. You can be out. Now, of course, the summers are hot, but unlike some of these other places where the summers are hot, you actually can, the mornings are workable. Like, you actually can do a lot of activities in the morning and just kind of get out of the way, because it really doesn't peak out, I would say, until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. So you do have year-round activity here.
Yeah. But then on the flip side of that, you may be coming here and you want to raise your family here, and you may be thinking, is it a good place to raise a family? Well, according to livability.com, St. George got ranked as the number 10 best city in the entire United States for raising a family. So that's just something to know. And again, if you go into best states for rankings from U.S. News and World Report, you look at education, and Utah comes in at number 5 out of all states, and this is based off of all the way from pre-K to 12th grade.
So I could say it's pretty fascinating, the fact that an area city can actually be so highly rated for retirement and for families. That's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. And actually, I remember, I don't have it with me right now, but I remember reading in the Salt Lake City Tribune recently, and they were saying that the main reasons that people come out to St. George are either for a job, or they come because of Utah Tech, or they come because of retirement, which is kind of weird because you're getting like all these different age groups that are coming here. So yeah, I think sometimes people think that St. George is just like a retirement community because that's kind of what it's in the news for.
That's its reputation.
Yeah, that's definitely like its reputation. Like, people kind of think, I feel like they compare it to like Palm Springs a lot, like, oh, it's just a retirement area, but that's actually not the case at all. And then you may be wondering about crime and safety, and obviously, what we think is safe isn't necessarily what you think is safe. Obviously, we recommend that you do your own research. We can really only just point to the numbers, but if you look at niche.com, if you go on Washington County, so I did it for the whole county, and if you go down to where they give the crime and safety statistics, you can see that like all the numbers are below the national average. So, obviously, again, like, what everyone thinks is safe is different. So.
Yeah, and we always recommend that let's say if you're interested in a particular home or a neighborhood, go to that, visit that area different times of the day in the evening, because that, like, crime and safety, I can't tell you what's safe for you as opposed to what's safe for me. We all have different tolerances for anything. So that's where, we recommend that, this is a very subjective situation where, you go and make sure that it makes sense for you.
Yeah. And then you also probably want to know about cost of living in St. George. So St. George isn't how it used to be, where it was super, super cheap or anything like that. But its cost of living is slightly above average for the United States. The United States is 100, St. George is 107. It is actually lower than average when you compare it to Utah. And then obviously the housing is really what gets you, because most of everything else is way below, except for healthcare, I guess, is slightly above. But yeah, the housing cost is really what's driving this higher cost of living in Utah.
Yeah, so and despite that, like, because everything else is actually relatively inexpensive, mm-hmm. you're barely above, the average cost of living, right? Which is fantastic. Again, and St. George is a desirable area, so the fact that you can kind of get into a desirable area despite having some of the higher housing. But again, nothing ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Like so you can get in there and you have a fantastic place to live, and you're not breaking the bank.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, obviously the median home cost, it goes up and down every month, whatever, but this seems about consistent to me. Yeah, so it's not, like, insanely ridiculous, like $1 million or something like that, right? I mean, it's...
Well, and that's the fact that, like, if you look at all the rankings that we just gave them, right? So if it's number 5 or number, 7 in the country, so well above 25th, so we're, like, well above, we're on the top tier as far as best states, in a lot of different categories. And the fact that, St. George, you can get in and actually be relatively close to, again, the average, cost of living, that's pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that is true, because a lot of places that people go, they're like, oh, well, I live here because it's cheap. And I'm like, well, I don't want to live there.
Exactly. That's a reason. There tends to be a reason why, right? So the fact that this is actually average, cost in general, but you're getting a way above average. In fact, I would dare say excellent place to live.
It is.
So you're getting excellent place for average price. I mean, that's, it's hard to beat that value proposition.
Yeah, I feel like St. George, okay, so I'm just going to go back to, like what Sean was saying. So I'm just going to go back to this little, niche.com ranking, how it ranks it. But St. George is an idyllic place to live. It is a great place to live. And I always go back to this, I don't know who this person is, but they wrote a review of Washington County. And I really feel that they said it in so many words. Yeah, they said it in words that, I honestly couldn't say it better. So I'm just going to read it for you. I really feel that this kind of epitomizes what it's like to live in Washington County, St. George and the surrounding areas. So there are not many places in the world like Washington County. You have the high desert feel with a mid-sized city that provides for all of your needs. If you like any activity that involves the outdoors, Washington County is the place to be. You have snow on Cedar Mountain in the winter and about 350 days of sunshine for biking, hiking, climbing, and so much more. The county is clean and well kept, and people from this area are welcoming and warm. We have loved living in this area and look forward to many more years to come. I mean, I feel like it really just, epitomizes, really is. You have everything that you need at your fingertips day to day. Sure, there may be a few, extra things that are missing, but it's not hard to get.
And it's only about an hour and 45 minutes away for those few extra things, really.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really talk about the people here, but the people here are very warm. They're very welcoming. Sean likes to describe St. George as,
the farthest west Midwestern city.
Yes, it really has a Midwestern vibe, what you think of as the Midwest, where people are just nice.
Neighborly.
They talk to you. It's maybe a little bit slower pace of life, if you're coming from a big city. So people actually take time to enjoy their lives, and it's a great place to live if you love being outdoors. I mean, all of Utah is. It's just that here in St. George, you don't have to deal with the winter. I know some people actually like the snow and the skiing and stuff, so obviously you don't have that here unless you go up to Bryan Head.
Which is about 90 minutes away.
Yeah, it's a little different than Salt Lake City, where they have their skiing 30 minutes away, which is actually quite unusual for in the world. So
and as you get a general idea of where the migration is coming from, you get a lot of stuff coming from, let's say, the California side, but also a ton coming from up north. So you have the Idaho, Montana, northern Utah. They're coming down because they are done with those winters and shoveling snow and bundling up. I mean, I just think of the movie Christmas Story, where Ralphie's brother was getting bundled up, and I just can't imagine going. It's already frustrating enough to get the kids in the car, but to actually bundle them up on top of that would just be brutal. And then having to shovel snow to get that, get the car out of the driveway. So,
well, yeah.
I think that's
Sean and I have never shoveled snow, and we
don't want to.
We don't plan to.
I can't tell you how many people we talk to that live here that are transplants.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them come from the north. They're like, I don't care if the summers are a bit on the more toasty side. I don't want those winters. I don't mind visiting those winters, but I do not want to live in those winters. Yeah.
Someone I talked to recently, he moved out here from Salt Lake City, and I'm like, well, why'd you come down? He's like, to get out of Salt Lake. And his little Utah accent. Actually, Utah does have a slight accent.
I haven't really detected it.
It does. But yeah, so a lot of people coming down here to get out of Salt Lake.
Yes. So get out of that snow. And remember, we are licensed realtors here in the state of Utah, so as much as we love making these videos, what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, what you want to do is you want to give us a call,
or shoot us a text.
Yes, remember that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us. And remember that the team we work with here in Utah has over 4 years of experience, so don't forget to call us or text us.